Now, so
Okay.
Alex, tell me what I, as a newer member of the club, wouldn't know about the history of the Warren Flying Club.
Well, I guess the place to start is that the club was formed at the Warren Airport, which is long, long gone, but it was south of 14 Mile and east of John R. There's a big park in there now where it was, but that's where the club was formed by, actually the guys were GM engineers, the original,
Okay.
about half a dozen people that formed the club.
And hence the name Warren Flying Club.
Yeah, because it started at the Warren Airport.
Okay, all right. And what was the succession of airports that it moved to?
Well, I'm not sure if there was anything. When I joined in '81, we had a hangar at City, and then the other two were tied down outside at City. So all three aircraft were Detroit City Airport. Then when the airlines moved into City, they required photo IDs and stuff. So, and that turned out to be such a hassle that we wanted to get out of City. So the only place where we could get a hangar was Romeo. And so we got one hangar at Romeo, and then the other two we moved and tied down outside of McKinley until it closed. Judy will get it. That's okay, she'll get it.
Okay.
Then we were able to get a hangar at where we are now at Troy, so we moved, when McKinley closed, we moved, first we moved the Skyline to Romeo, and then we moved it to Troy, and then we moved the other two to Troy, and they were tied down outside originally. Then we were able to eventually get two more hangars, so we wound up with all of them hangared at Troy.
Okay. Oh, interesting. And your trip to Alaska involved how many other club members?
There were 6 people altogether. 5 of them were club members. One of them wasn't. He belonged to the Tops Club over there, and he was a good friend of Jim Adams, who was a member, and some other.
Okay.
His name was Herb Dogie.
And how many airplanes went?
Just the one, just the Skyline. Well, the way we worked it was 3 guys left the 1st of July, flew the airplane to Alaska, flew it around for 2 weeks, and myself and 2 other guys flew up commercial to Anchorage, met them there. They flew back commercial, and we flew the airplane around and flew it home.
Oh, gee. What a great trip.
And the plane was gone a month, but
Wow.
It worked out real well doing that, because we were carrying camping gear and a bunch of other stuff. 3 was all you really wanted in the airplane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was full.
Yeah.
In fact, we had a bunch of meetings out here in my garage, going over the maps and deciding. And we decided that, the Skyline has 40 gallons in each wing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we decided 40 gallons would take you quite a ways at 12 gallons an hour, So we decided we'd see if we couldn't maybe fill up the other tank with beer. But then we figured out we'd have to drink, 2 of us would have to drink 12 gallons an hour, and we didn't think we could drink that much. So we left it fuel.
Okay. Well, tell us about your experiences on the flight. Did you have any mechanical difficulties?
We had to put in a little brake fluid, and we did have a hard landing up there. We kicked the firewall a little bit. I was in the back seat when it happened, and they just let it drop in a little bit too far, and we were heavy, so had to replace the firewall on it. But
while it was there?
No, we were able to fly it home.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to say any more about it than that. Especially saying turn off the recorder and I'll go into a lot more detail. But.
How about the experiences of what you saw, where you went?
Oh, it was by far the neatest trip. We started in Anchorage, and we rented the other guys had rented a Jeep Cherokee. So we just took over the rental on the Cherokee, and we drove down to Homer and back. And then when we flew out of there, we landed in Talkeetna, which is halfway between Anchorage and Fairbanks. And that's where everybody who's going to climb Mount McKinley leaves from Talkeetna. And they had 2 or 3 air services there. In fact, we landed there, and there was an old guy there. In front of this building was Hudson's Flying Service. And we asked him if we could camp on the airport. And he said, well, the manager doesn't like it, but he ain't around, so, and he's gone for a week or 10 days. But he said, I'll tell you what, he said, this is my truck there, pickup. He says, take that and take your gear, and I'll drive you down to the free public campground down by the river. So we did. We loaded up the loaded up the gear, and he drove us down there. Turns out this guy it was the Hudson that started Hudson's Flying Service. And the next day we hired one of his pilots to take us in and land us on a glacier on the side of Mount McKinley in a 180 on skis.
Oh.
And boy, was that a trip.
Oh.
Just the neatest thing in the world, I'll tell you.
How cool.
Yeah, it really was. There's some pictures in there of us landing on the glacier and stuff.
Wow.
And then when we left there, we went north to Anchorage for a while. And then we spent a couple days there, went to a salmon bake at the, there's some pictures of that in there. And then we went north to just north of the Arctic Circle. It's kind of interesting because I'm trying to remember the name of the North something is the name of the town. But it was just over the Arctic Circle. Now, like the Arctic Circle is like 33 degrees. And our insurance was only good to 33 1/3 degrees. Okay, so we went just as far as we could go without having to get a rider on our insurance policy. But you know, the insurance was good to. There was just you could go to the Arctic Circle, but not very far past.
Oh.
Then when we came back, we went. We stopped in. It's called Arctic or Alaska Hot Springs. And we stayed a night there, and there are actually hot springs there where where people have been swimming for years. You know, the Indians and the Eskimos and stuff.
I'll be darned.
And then we went to the Yukon and saw where they originally had the gold rush there. And,
Oh, okay.
and then we came back, followed the Alcan Highway back.
Did you see wildlife while you were there?
Yeah, we saw not a lot, but we saw bald eagles, and when we drove down there was a little stream running beside the road, and there were salmon swimming up this, and they were red. I guess when they're going to spawn and die, they turn red. At least they're just bright red. So and we saw some sheep a couple of places, and you had this purple fireweed all over the place on the side of all the hills. We're just covered with this beautiful purple. They call it fireweed.
Mm-hmm. And did you, in your flying around in Alaska, how long did you have the plane where you were in the air in Alaska?
I think we flew at about 20, well, total flying around and back, 23 or 24 hours.
And did you see some beautiful scenery or wildlife from the air?
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Spot any moose or bear or anything like that?
A little, yeah. We saw more on that trip when we were riding up to the glacier than we did other times. Cause,
okay.
We saw 3 or 4 moose on that and a couple of bears.
Was there a highlight of the trip?
It was flying in and landing on the glacier. I had another one. The other guys didn't go, but where we were in Fairbanks. No, I'm sorry, Anchorage. There was a place there where the bunch of seaplanes landed. Okay, and it was controlled by the same tower that controls the Anchorage International Airport. It's the only seaplane base, I guess, in the United States with a tower. And we were there in the evening watching the seaplanes land. So the next day, I found an instructor, and I went out in Super Cub on floats, and we landed 2 or 3 times on some of the lakes around there. Because I already had a seaplane rating, but I hadn't used it. After I got it, I never used it. You know.
Okay.
So I hired this instructor to go out and land on 2 or 3 lakes out there, and then come. I got a picture. There's a picture in there. He's in the back seat of the Super Cub. There's a picture. He's shooting over my shoulder, and we're landing down in between rows of tied up aircraft, tied up seaplanes. There must be 50 of them there, at least.
Man. How cool.
That was my highlight, was flying that seaplane.
Yeah.